Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Infinity Train, Season 2, Episodes 5 and 6. So sorry for it being so dark. It's another overcast day, and can't help the natural lighting. But that being said, we're on to Episodes 5 and 6 of this season of Infinity Train. And that brings us about halfway through because there's about 10 episodes. I'm going to say right off the bat, nothing much has happened yet. Season 1, by this point, felt like we were already invested in it. There was a lot happening, a lot of really interesting stuff, some great character stuff with Tula. So far, we have not had that in this season. It's been a lot more laid back, a lot more slow. There's been a couple of moments of interest with Mir Tulip and Jesse having to run away from the Mir police, and Jesse finding out about Mir Tulip and everything being a technically criminal. But other than that, it's been very tame. Like, even the train cars so far have not been that interesting comparatively, which is a little disappointing, honestly. With how good season 1 was, this is just leaving a lot to be desired so far. But it's not bad. I feel like the big difference here is that this season so far, at least, I don't know where it's going to go, but this season so far is definitely focused more on the character building than anything else, but to a point where it's literally just pretty much entirely focused on that. Because season 1 had plenty of good character building and had a lot of great depth with Tulip and whatnot, but it also kept the mystery and excitement of the train up as well. And even though, yeah, we saw to the end, we saw the conductor and everything, there's still a lot of mystery and intrigue and stuff they could investigate with the train in this season. So I just feel like we're missing a lot. We're missing a big chunk of what this series was for me in the first season. But again, I want to stress that it's not bad, but it's not doing anything for me right now, comparatively. It's not as exciting. It's not as investing as season 1 was. That could all change. That might be what they're going for. Because I've seen shows do that before, where it starts off pretty mundane and then all of a sudden shit hits the fan. They could be doing that, and I hope they are, because that would make things better. But if this season ends up just being a weaker season for this series, then there's not really anything we can do about that. It's gonna suck, but unfortunately, if that's just how it is, that's just how it is. So yeah, not really much is happening. All we've got so far is just your Tulip, Jesse, and Alan Dracula just going through some cars and not really much of anything exciting happening in them. Not really much to talk about because of that either. We have had some setup for Jesse's story. Jesse seems to have engaged in bullying his own younger brother alongside some quote unquote friends of his. And he seems to regret it very much. And I feel like that's definitely setting up for a lot with his character, but I don't fully know what yet. And then Mir Tulip, her entire thing in this has been just trying to survive, just trying to make it on her own, become her own person. And that's great. That's all well and good. I love that for her, but at the same time it's like they haven't done enough with that to truly invest me yet. I feel like a big thing they could have done is by having her like actually have an identity crisis and really be like scared and freaked out by the prospect of becoming her own person because of not knowing who she is outside of being the mirror image of Tulip. I think that would have been more interesting. Instead, she just seems to accept that she's different right away, that she's her own person. And because of it, we don't really get to see any of that struggle or anything that really delivers the depth to this kind of storyline. Like there was a little bit of that maybe in the actual episode from season one that she was introduced and everything in, which we saw like a couple flashbacks to in this season. But it wasn't enough, and I feel like there should have been more after the fact. Maybe that's just me though. But again, I am enjoying it still. It's just it's not as good as season one so far, and I hope that changes. I hope that the rest of this season changes that, but we'll see. We'll see. In the meantime, we're just going to get this going. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back into the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades black, then it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, of course, like right when I say like nothing interesting has happened yet, and I hope that something interesting does happen to change the rest of this season, something interesting happens. But we'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about the first of these two episodes first, episode 5. Episode 5 was interesting enough. Like, I feel like it was a notable episode. I mean, but to episode 6, it doesn't compare. But again, we'll get to that in a moment. So episode 5, Mir Tulip and Jesse are continuing on their journey with Alan Dracula, and Alan ends up getting taken over by a symbiotic parasite. However, despite what Perry says, Alan does not seem to like Perry and is trying to fight back and get Perry out of his body. We see this first during the sachet runway car, which it's like we understand that's what that's supposed to be referencing, because I think the word sachet was basically created from Drag Race. I might be wrong about that, but it's at least the only notable place I had heard about it originally. um, and I'm not even going to get into the entire thing with RuPaul and why that irritates me, but just going strictly off of the episode here, and it was interesting seeing Jesse and MT go down the runway and strut their stuff, I guess. Even though MT was like so disinterested, but somehow, I mean, it worked. Um, but we saw when Perry and Alan were going down the runway, we saw Alan start to fight back, and not much was thought about it from anyone else at the moment, but yeah, it was clearly something wrong. And then we started seeing it again and again. We saw like Alan's head popping out from his chest and everything, and it's like we saw him fighting back more and more, and it became very clear that he wanted Perry out. So MT thought of the idea of using this flower that caused Alan Dracula to sneeze ice before, and they managed to get Perry out and continue on, leaving him behind because honestly, he's trouble. It's like after all of that, it's like, yeah, you're not coming with us, and you're not jumping in anyone else's mouth here. It didn't seem like Perry was like actively aggressive towards them. Like it didn't seem like Perry was actually like a bad person, but that he was kind of just following what parasites do. And it was just a lot of parasites who do this kind of stuff, especially symbiotic parasites, do so well for symbiotic reasons to survive. Um, it's usually mutually beneficial, as mentioned with the birds who pick the stuff out of the crocodile's teeth and all. It's usually a mutually beneficial situation that helps out both species. Um, so it's probably very much the same thing here. It probably does help Perry survive to do this. So I don't think there was any vindictiveness or evil intentions or whatnot with Perry, but he was definitely too dangerous to continue on. I don't see it being a good thing for him to continue with the group. But then we get to the second episode here, and things get interesting. So they end up finding this Lucky Cat fairgrounds in a car, and in there they meet the cat from season one. And that would be enough. That would have been enough to make things more interesting, to bring back the cat like that. But we find out that there's only one door exit from this car, and that only one person can win it a month. And they can do anything they want with it after they win it, but only one person can win it per month. So there's already someone else fighting to get the 1,000 tickets to win it, but the cat allows MT and Jesse to compete for it as well, even allowing them to pool their tickets together. So the competition with this masked person as well as them begins, and we see them go through these different games and eventually win. They get the 1,000 and are about to get the door when they notice Alan Dracula is missing. They go to find him, win him from this claw machine, but by the time that happens, unfortunately, the masked person has also gotten up to 1,000 and claims the prize first. So she removes her disguise, revealing herself to be this woman named Grace, at which point she uses the door to let in a bunch of kids who seem to be like part of maybe some kind of rebellion or something with her. Like that's kind of the vibe I got off of it. Like she's leading some kind of rebellion in the train to where people know who she is. At least the cat very much knew who she was and did not like her, which is interesting. I love her design. She's really pretty though. But yeah, she lets in the kids, but then also offers to help MT and Jesse, especially after seeing Jesse's number being so low. She has one of the kids, I guess one of her associates, you could say, take Jesse and MT to their base. At which point she pulls off one of her gloves, revealing that her number's really high. Like it reminds me of the woman, I can't remember her name, but the woman at the end of season one, the conductor. Well, yeah, she was kind of the conductor, I guess. I think she was the conductor, but how she had the numbers all over her body, as she had been there for so long, for years and years and years. 'Cause she got there when she was younger, and now she's like older and everything. We even found out about her backstory and all. She was a major character in the end. But yeah, it's just we're now seeing another character who has a higher number like that, instead of just like one number on the hand. So I'm wondering how long Grace has been here. Definitely not as long as the other woman though. Definitely not. But she's been there for some notable amount of time, and her number is definitely rising, which is bad, but we'll have to see where that goes. Does she want to stay on the train? I wonder. Or is she still trying to get off? We'll have to see. But I'm genuinely curious, like, what her deal is. She definitely throws this into an interesting spot. And I'm actually now a lot more excited to see where this season ends out. Because, like I had said, um, the season up to this point hadn't been like all that exciting or interesting, but this changes that heavily. And if they do this right, then this could really get good really quickly. So we have 4 more episodes to go. 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 both are in 2 episode pairs. So 2 more weeks of Infinity Train season 2. And yeah, there's a lot of room for stuff to happen during those 4 episodes. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see exactly what happens, and excuse me, and how it all goes down. But either way, tell me your thoughts on these 2 episodes of Infinity Train Season 2, and thank you all so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.